Hi guys, and welcome back to another episode of Sailing with the Jameses. We are in the boatyard in Cairns, Australia, doing a refit to our aluminium catamaran. We've recently been working on making improvements to our tender. This week, we're playing boat Tetris as we shuffle around the yard, and we're also wrapping up the flooring and the fiberglass pods to the tinny, and we are getting started on installing our upcycled tender collar. Hi, we're the James family.
Are you sick of your day-to-day life? Ever thought about doing something different?
Well, we did just that.
We bought an unfinished aluminium catamaran and we're fixing her up as we sail around the world.
Come along for the journey and click subscribe.
Daddy? Mommy? Honey? James.
Alright guys, we are moving today. We are moving in the yard. We're going to do a bit of boat Tetris. Come clean up this with us. When moving house, we always shoved everything into the car. Well, it's no different to moving on a boat. The tinny is our car and we are shoving it full of stuff from our workshop under the boat. And when we get to our new spot, we'll just drop the tender back down and offload everything. We are moving because a boat that we are blocking in is ready to splash, and a boat in the front yard has recently relaunched. So there's a new slot open for us in the front yard, and it also happens to be right next to Karma, the other aluminium Lochcrowther catamaran that we mentioned a few episodes ago.
So where we left you last week is we were just mixing up these Q cells here to go and bulk and make it a lot smoother. Our plan is we've smoothed off the edges, we'll give it a nice big sand so then we can lay some fiberglass up in here and that'll be the final bit. One thing you may notice is we've used PVC pipe here, and the reason we've done that is because this can be an impact zone, and if we left it straight foam it could crack the fiberglass and you get water ingression and things. So we've put some PVC pipe along the edges just because it'll absorb all the impacts so much better and hopefully make this last a fair bit longer. But I'll get to sanding, we'll flatten all these edges off and then we'll get ready to do the final glass.
After sanding, we get started on putting the final layer of glass on the pods. One technique trick we found with fiberglassing involves using a mixture of epoxy and Q cells to achieve a smooth edge for the fiberglass. Instead of doing a layer of Q cells, waiting for it to dry, and then sanding it back to make a smooth finish, we are doing the Q cells and fiberglassing all at once. We apply a layer of Q cell mixture, and while it's wet, we lay down the fiberglass and apply epoxy on top. This method helps us create a clean, smooth finish edge, especially in the corners where the Q cells provide a seamless transition. Once the primer is applied and drying on the pods, we turn our attention to painting the tender floors. Then prep the seats, making sure the surfaces are ready for the glue and cushions. And then it's time to glue the tender collar on. And we were lucky enough to have a Patreon come by and give us a hand. Alright guys, so the tender's all finished, and come to the back here. The pods are what we finished off first. So the pods are all finished. It got one more layer of glass on them, then we primed them, then we put an extra, we painted them. So primed and painted, then we had extra non-skid paint on board, so we put non-skid on the bottom here. The purpose of the non-skid deck paint is so that when we're in the water and we're hopping in and out of the tender, it's not slippery. So we've got some grip here in the bottom. So that is those all done. We've sat on them, we've stood on them, and they are solid. And we sat on them and did the whole weight test before we added the last layer of glass, and they are super strong. So we're really excited to see and how these go and use them for swimming. After the pods were done, we then moved on to the tender collar. So our tender collar is looking fabulous. So what we did was we hauled the tender up into the air and then added layer by layer of the EVA foam, the floor mats that we got for free, the upcycled ones. There's 5 layers on here. So we just matched them in with the grooves here, so a little one, then a bigger one, and then the last 3 layers are these big ones. And those are all held on by quick grip, like a big container, and we actually used 2 containers to hold them on. The other things, the floor looks amazing. The floor we also did the same as the pods. They have the deck paint, non-skid deck paint on them so that they're not slippery getting in and out of the tender. The seats have a yoga mat. So we bought a red yoga mat, split it, and we glued them down to the seats because the aluminium on the seats was so hot. So the yoga mats are non-skid and they also provide cushioning and they're not hot, so hopefully our tushies won't burn. And then we had leftover yoga mats. So come and see the bow, it looks amazing. So we had leftover yoga mat, and you'll normally find that people do like a square here, and we thought our logo is an octopus, why not do something fun with the leftover yoga mat? So we cut out an octopus and glued it down, and we sometimes get on and off the tender when it's hauled up by just stepping onto the bow and then into the tender. So this just provides non-skid, bit of cushioning, and then we also painted the non-skid deck paint around it as well, so we're not slipping off. And then the last thing is the pool noodles on the outside. The pool noodles are mainly for protection for other boats that we will go to visit, like friends' boats. It's so that we're not pulling up to a fiberglass boat and gouging out the sides. And it's also to protect our boat as well. But the pool noodles are all around the outside. We have tried wrapping the pool noodles in $1 million tape, just cheap tape, and seeing how that fares. It hasn't worked too well, which was this experiment here. We wrapped it, then we cut it, and then we fitted it on. But in the sun, you can see that it's starting to peel away. The pool noodles are still wet, so I'm just trying not to touch it. But it is peeling away. The noodles won't last in the sun like for a long time. If you think about when you're in a pool and you leave a pool noodle in the pool for like a couple weeks and then it starts deteriorating. So we're thinking that after all this dries, we'll get some paint and we'll spray paint the noodles to try to protect it from the sun. But yeah, this experiment was a bit of a learning curve. It's all the stick is coming off in the sunlight. But other than that, we are going to wait until the pool noodles dry fully. There's liquid nails all underneath the pool noodles, so we're gonna let those dry. Then we will carry the tender down to the water and we're gonna go for our trial run. So join us next week as we go for a run in our new upgraded tender. And we're very excited.
And essentially, guys, this is only got to last us about a year. Our plan is to build our own tender. Unfortunately, we don't have time while we're in Australia, so it'll happen somewhere overseas. Just let us know what you think in the comments below, what we did and how long you think it's going to last. All right, catches.
Thank you so much for watching. If you are enjoying our videos and would like to help support us making videos and content, consider becoming a Patreon. The link is in the description below. And don't forget to click those like and subscribe buttons, and we will see you all next week. Bye guys.